Hey there, guys. This is Martin, LittleKuriboh. I'm back with another episode of We're Still Here. I know I said in the last episode that I would always start off with something positive before going on to the really deep stuff about my depression. For those of you who didn't watch the first episode, I've been diagnosed with depression about 6 months ago, and this is my diary, I suppose, a video journal of my progression through it, because I'm currently in the healing process, and I know there are people out there who probably are watching this that aren't, and they might even be on a downward slope, and I want them to see somebody or see something that will give them hope and give them an idea that somebody else is going through this, and that they'll watch me recover, ideally, and then it will help just to see somebody else in a similar situation, and hopefully to see me get out of this okay. But I wanted to say before I start that I got a lot of emails, a lot of messages, a lot of phone calls from people who watched the video and were very personally affected by it. And I wanted to take the beginning of this video to thank all of you. I wish I could thank all of you by name, but there were hundreds of you expressing sympathies, expressing, that they'd known people who'd gone through something similar, or that they were, or had gone through something similar, or that they were going through something a lot like this. And that, while it hurts me to know that there are people who are feeling the way I have felt for the last 6 months, it seems to have had a very positive effect. And I really hope that if you are watching this, that you are getting something out of it, because you've given me something. I want to tell you that the amount of support I got since the last video made it so I was able to have a really positive time this past week. I want to tell you that I haven't had a good week in a long time. I've had good days, but most of the time the week has been dominated by me feeling sorry for myself, or worse. So this past week has been like a break in the wave of negativity, and I want to thank you for that. You gave that to me because of your response to the video. So thank you. You really gave me something. You helped me. So thank you. And all I can hope to do is do the same for you, if even in a small way. So thank you. I just want to keep saying thank you, because I don't know what else to say. But thank you. I really... Anyway, without further ado, this is what makes me happy. We have 3 cats. We have Meatball, Mozzarella, and Harley. And Meatball is a very neurotic little cat. We got him, and he has the name Meatball because when my wife first adopted him, he was this tiny little thing with a big pudgy belly, and he was a little meatball. So they named. He's actually just on the windowsill looking at me. he's wondering what I'm doing. But he's turned out to be kind of the mother's boy. He's very clingy to Mariana, and he doesn't like other people. But he's a nice cat. He's a very cute cat. Mozzarella is this really beautiful furry. I don't know what kind she is. We've had various theories. I'm not the guy. I don't know that much about cats, but she's this beautiful, adorable, squeaky little thing. There's actually a video on Tumblr of Mozzarella that went kind of viral, where she's lying on her back, and I come up to her and I say, "Are you trying to be a sausage?" And she looks up and she goes, "Meh." And people really liked that. It was apparently very cute enough to... I mean, it's a cat video, so... But we also have Harley, who is the newest addition to the family. And he is... he's a funny guy. He's 6 years old. He's much older than the other two. And he is this very, very grumpy-looking guy. He's kind of the Ron Swanson of cats. And he'll bully the other guys a little bit every so often, but he's not meaning anything by it. He's just trying to play. He doesn't have any... He has like 2 teeth in his mouth because he had an operation, and he whenever he eats his food, he makes a big mess because he can't keep half of it in his mouth. He just sort of buries his face in the bowl and just makes a big mess of everything. And you can always tell when Harley's been eating because there'll be cat food all over the floor. And they're pretty great. Mozzarella loves bottle tops. Whenever we have a bottle, she'll sit on the table when we're drinking, and then she'll wait for us to put the bottle down and take the bottle cap off, and she'll just grab the bottle cap and run off with it, and she'll be playing with that for days afterwards. Harley, he loves belly rubs. He just loves belly rubs. I don't know what it is. He'll sit in the middle of the room, and he'll wait for you to come nearby, or he'll wait for you to enter the room, and he'll walk up to you with a purpose, and then he'll just flop down almost on top of your feet, sometimes on top of the feet, and he'll just roll over and he'll wait for you to rub his belly. He loves it. I've never known a cat to love belly rubs as much as Harley. Meatball, like I said, he's kind of neurotic and kind of a mother's boy, but he's a nice cat when he gets used to you. He loves Mariana so much. She's basically his mother. You know, he'll whenever she's talking, he'll respond to her, or he'll come up to her whenever she's on the phone and try getting her attention. But if anybody else tries to come near him, he'll dart off down out of the room. And yeah, he's a funny cat. He has a crick in his tail where it's just sort of crooked on the end. It's very cute. The reason my cats make me happy is kind of it's not really a long story, but it's a story. I never really liked cats before. I was never a cat person. I'd been raised with dogs my whole life until I was about 20 something. And then my sister back home in England adopted a cat called Blanket, and he was a terror. He would bite you, he would scratch you, he would yowl at you, he would go away for weeks on end and come back like as if nothing had happened. You know, he was very independent, and I got a bad impression from that. I guess I kind of judged cats as a whole because of that. He wasn't a great example of a good cat, but I just, that was the only experience I'd had up until a certain point. And so when I came out here and I married my wife, she's had cats all her life and dogs. And when we moved into our apartment, we were told we couldn't have dogs. So we don't really want dogs in a small space. That doesn't seem fair. That's not fair to the dog. They want to run around, play. But the cats are allowed, and so we had Meatball, and then we had a cat called Spaghetti. And I was very reluctant to get to know these guys. I was initially like, well, they're cats. They're just going to go off and do their own thing, and I'm going to be on my own. You know, it's like we're not even going to have a pet as far as I was concerned. And Meatball initially proved my point because he didn't want anything to do with me, and I was like, well, there you go again. But then Spaghetti arrived, and he was this tiny, stupid little thing. He was so small, and we would play with him, and he'd be a little bit slower than Meatball in getting into the spirit of things, but he did get into the spirit of things, and he ended up playing, and he was a really, really sweet cat. And we had him for a couple of years, and then we got Mozzarella, who was a baby, and all three of them, I fell in love with them. I really did, especially Spaghetti. Spaghetti was the first friend I made when I moved out here to America. And he was a friend. He was my friend. Like, I know it sounds, it's one of those things where you're like, oh, yeah, everyone thinks their pets are their friends. He was my friend. He would wake up with me. He would talk to me. He really would talk to me. I would have conversations with Spaghetti, just, how are you doing, Spaghetti? I'm just working on a video, Spaghetti. And then he'll sit in my lap and refuse to move. He was a little loaf. But he ended up having a complication, a birth defect that you may know about if you've seen some of my other videos. He was born with his heart sac was enlarged and his intestines were moving into it to the point that he wasn't able to digest food. He wasn't able to keep food down. He wasn't able to breathe properly sometimes. So we it's a sad story, and I know I want to start off with a positive thing, but in a roundabout way, this is a positive story. He was my friend, and we when he first had the complication, we did a fundraiser, and we raised so much. We raised the money for the surgery in less than, I think, 3 hours, because everyone was so moved by Spaghetti's situation, and and our friends rallied people, and fans donated, and it was an incredible display of support. Which is, if there's anything positive in this story, I think that's it. That everyone was willing to help. Everyone, nobody questioned it. Nobody ever. I mean, there were one or two trolls criticized us, but there were nobody ever looked at it and said, "This is a bad idea. This is pointless." Everyone wanted Spaghetti to win that fight, and he did, and it was amazing. And for 3 months, he was fine. He got to play with Meatball and Mozzarella. He was just like he used to be, if not better. He was running around, and before he had just sort of sat under the table while everyone was playing. But he was enjoying life, and then the complication came back, and he unfortunately had to be put down because we didn't want to. It's not that we didn't want to spend the money; it's that we didn't want to do that to him. We didn't want to keep opening him up and putting him back together, and who knows if it would have kept happening, and it would have been awful for him. So he got put down, and I was devastated. I honestly, if there was one thing where I can look at it and say, well, that's where things started to go bad, Spaghetti dying was a big signal. But the thing is, the thing to take from that story is that he did get an extra 3 months that he wouldn't have gotten without the help from these people he would never meet. He would never know what they did for him, and people were willing to do that. And I think that's incredible. I think that's an incredible display of humanity. And my friend Antfish says this a lot. Don't be sad that it's over. Be happy that it happened. And that's good. That's a good thing to keep in mind. And that's what I think about when I think of Spaghetti. I think of the fact that he was part of my life, and he still is part of my life. He will always be part of my life. I actually, my first and only tattoo so far is his paw print that I got because they took an imprint of his paw when he was put down, and I just wanted to be able to say I want to be able to look down at my hand when I'm working, or I want to be able to look down when I'm in bed and asleep, and just know that he's touched me the way he has, and remember him in a good way. I'll tell you a funny story about Spaghetti to lighten things up after that. We got this Grumpy Cat plush toy, and you might have seen them in stores, but I bought it for Mariana, and I put it on the bed. I think I was going to surprise her with it by just leaving it on the bed for her. And I went to the bathroom, and I came back out, and Spaghetti had tried jumping onto the bed, but halfway through doing so, he saw the Grumpy Cat plushie, and he thought that it was a real cat. He was like, "What is that?" And he was hanging on the edge of the bed for like a good 5 minutes, just staring at Grumpy Cat, being like, "What do I do? Is it safe? Oh God." It was a hilarious thing to walk out on, and whenever I think of Spaghetti now, I'll think of how funny he was, and he made me laugh. He made me laugh a lot, and that's important. So, thank you, Spaghetti. But yeah, I love cats. I love cats now because of that. I wouldn't trade my cats for the world, and I never thought I would say that 3 years ago. So things change. People come into your life and they change it, It's very hard to recognize depression in general. It's hard to recognize it in yourself. It's especially hard to recognize it in other people who have it, because I've been to therapy. I've been to group therapy, and it's funny. The first exercise we did was learning to listen. It's very important to listen to people who have depression, just to let them talk and not try and tell them how to fix what's wrong, because if they don't know, you don't know. But we were doing this exercise, and the girl I was talking to looked at me and said, you don't seem to have depression. And I was like, probably didn't want to hear that. But also, you're right, because after a while, when you've been living with it, certainly for as long as I had been, you learn to fake it. You learn to pretend to be happy so that you just don't become a burden on anybody. And that's bullshit. That's bullshit thinking. You're not a burden on anybody just because you're depressed. If you're depressed, you're sick, and sick people need help, and people will help you. So don't ever think about yourself being a burden just because you want to talk about what you're going through. Please. It's absolutely okay to be open about it. I encourage that, because without being open about it, nobody's going to be able to help you. But yeah, it's very easy to disguise it and to pretend that you're not going through this awful experience where you're basically tearing yourself apart inside. And I think that's why it's so dangerous and why it's so awful, is that it tricks you into thinking that's in your best interest. Your depression will make you think, well, it tricks you into thinking that you're the lowest of the low and that you don't deserve help. And again, that's bullshit. You do. And it becomes hard for you to notice the feeling yourself, because it becomes so overwhelming. You're like, well, this must be normal, and this must be how I am just naturally, which isn't true at all. It's hard once you've recognized it, especially to acknowledge it and move forward, because when you see it in yourself, you have this tendency to just let it overwhelm you. I did that. I allowed my depression to defeat me for months. I was willing to basically ruin my own life rather than confront it, because it was so powerful. It was only powerful. It's only powerful because I allowed it to be. It's part of me, but that means it's no more powerful than I am. It's no more powerful than you are. I mean, that's logical. I know that logic is difficult to think about when you're depressed, but that is as clear-cut as I can be. Your depression cannot be more powerful than you, because it is in you, and it's part of you. So it can't be better than you. So don't let it trick you into thinking that. So when you are able to acknowledge it, it's obviously, I've talked about getting help, talking to a therapist. When you are able to, when you've learned that you have depression, which the telltale signs will be a lack of energy, a lack of motivation, trouble sleeping, crying a lot, and when you notice these signs, sometimes you just be, well, I'm a bit under the weather. But if you see it enough, or if you just know in your gut that you're depressed, please talk to somebody. Please talk to a family member. Please talk to a sibling. Please talk to a close friend that you trust. Please call. I have phone numbers in the description. Please call a hotline. The suicide prevention hotline, I should mention, I personally called it multiple times. And I want you to know that if you are ever considering that, don't be afraid to call that, because they are the nicest people. I have had long conversations with those people, and they want to help you. They really care about you, and they will go out of their way to make sure you're okay. So don't hesitate to talk to somebody if you need that, because we all need that sometimes. If you recognize it in somebody else, if you're not depressed, or even if you are depressed and you recognize it in somebody else, try to be understanding. Because it can be difficult to be with somebody that's depressed. I know I've put my wife under a lot of stress by just being sick and depressed, Uh, don't try and tell them how to solve the problem. Try and help them find their way to solve the problem. Because if you try and tell them how to fix it, the best you're going to do is upset them more. That's what I found. But also, if you are depressed, don't think that people are just trying to tell you that, oh, this is a passing thing. If people want to help you, they want to help you because they're worried about you. But if you know somebody who's depressed, listen to them. Listen as best you can, because it's very important what they have to say. Reassure them that you will always be there for them. I've had friends. The sad thing is, I specifically tried to destroy a lot of my friendships. I specifically cut myself off from people. I specifically became a bad person in a few people's eyes intentionally, because I didn't want them to have to think about me. I thought, I'm wasting their time just knowing them. And that's not good. Don't do that. But if somebody does try it in that, and you can tell that they're depressed or they're going through something, don't let their depression be the person you talk to. Talk to them or listen to them. It's very important that you listen to them and not the sickness that's in them, not their feelings. The feelings are not the person. Try and keep people close. Both sides. If you are depressed, or if you know somebody who's depressed, keep people close to you. Because people will help you. People will be your support. People will be your strength. And in group therapy, I personally highly recommend group therapy. It got me through a lot. It was the best experience I've had in therapy. And this is the inspiration for why I'm doing these videos, is that just hearing other people's stories was enough to make me realize this isn't me. This is a sickness. This is something that happens to people, not something they become, not something they are. And I was able to confront it as a result. So please, once you have recognized it, and it can be difficult to do that, please take action. Please move forward. Please help those who need it if you can. And just be their friend. Being their friend and staying with them through to the end is more meaningful than you know. And if you have recognized depression within yourself, that's good. That's a good first step. Take it slowly if you have to. When I started the path to recovery, I was a wreck, and that's okay. Like, you're in a bad way, and that doesn't mean that you're weak or that you can't do this. It means that you're in a bad place and you need help getting out. And help is there. I guarantee you, help will be there for you. You just need to find it. You just need to talk to people. You need to talk to somebody if you can, please. Anybody. Like, there are websites you can go on to chat to people who will listen to your problems. There are lots of resources online, and if you I just want you to promise me you're not gonna give up on yourself just because of this awful thing. Thank you. I believe in you. I really do. I really do. You can do this. You can totally do this. You can kick this to the curb. You can do this. You can totally do this. Well, that's the end of the second episode, and I wanted to say thank you for watching. If you like this, please feel free to subscribe or recommend it to some people who you feel might benefit from it. I wanted to plug a few things. I know it seems cheeky, but there are some friends of mine who are either in a bad place or they need a bit of extra assistance. Good friend of mine, Ezekiru, as he's known online, he's another abridger. He's been fired from his job, and he's trying to make ends meet, and he's really struggling. And last time I saw him was Yomicon, and he was in a really bad way, but he still made time to talk to me. So that's my cat. I don't know if you can hear it. Speaking of cats, Meatball, you okay? But he's in a bad way right now, and I put a link to his GoFundMe in the description. If you feel you can spare anything, even a little helps. You don't have to. I'm not begging you to do that, but I want to try and help him if I can. There's also my good friend Grego, who I meet at conventions, various conventions around the world. He's helped me a great deal. He's gone out of his way for me on a personal level, and he has a Patreon that he has to help fund his game shows that he does at conventions that entertain people and make them laugh. And I'm big into that. So if you are interested in something like that, or if you know Grego and you know his work, then please, if you're able to help fund his work, then that would be really cool. He's a really good guy. I just wanted to give him a little bit of a help, if I could. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help people. But yes, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you next week. Take care, okay? Have a great day. If you wish to reach me, you can find me at Yu-Gi-Oh! TAS on Twitter, and for all my other content, please visit team4star.com/LittleKuriboh. I hope you have a great day.